everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I just finished watching episode 5 of Moon Knight. Obviously, full spoilers. And I gotta say, just right up front, I think this was my favorite episode of the entire show so far, which is funny enough because one consistent complaint that I've seen, and I think it's, there's some validity to this, there's not a lot of Moon Knight in this show. As far as like him actually being in the costume and doing action, to be like, if you think about it, we've only had like maybe 3 instances where he's actually in the suit and he's actually fighting something. Because like the last 2 episodes for sure just have not had that at all. And yet this episode I think was actually really, really interesting. So yeah, we are still in the asylum, and just like I thought it was obvious to me, but I did see some people questioning this. I saw some people thinking that he really is in an asylum the whole time and maybe he really is crazy. I saw some people really buying into it, even though I thought the show itself was kind of like making it pretty obvious that that was not the case. But anyways, so we are still in the asylum, which is actually the underworld, with the afterlife, where they're on this big boat. And look, I'm not gonna remember any of the names. They have like the hippo goddess, and they have what the place is called, and I don't remember all the names to it. But basically, they're on the boats. They're trying to get their hearts on this scale with this feather, and it's trying to balance out. That way, they can go on to the paradise of the afterlife. But really they want to come back alive because they got to stop Harrow, which it's a whole thing. So basically the majority of this episode is them basically going through their memories, and we're finally answering a bunch of questions and figuring out his whole backstory and how he even got to this place. Meanwhile, while he's doing all that in the upper world, and we only get this for like one short scene, but basically we see a bunch of souls falling down into the afterlife because they're all being judged prematurely. So it's unclear if Harrow has awoken that goddess or if he's just doing his normal thing that he does, where he's just judging one person at a time. But in either case, they're like, okay, we got to stop Harrow. But we don't see any of what's actually happening in the real world, so that's going to be interesting. I think we only have 1 episode left, so they're gonna have to like catch up. Like, okay, what's been going on while he's been dead this whole time? But yeah, we get a whole lot of backstory. Oh, and they do mention they talk about like the planes of consciousness that are all like intertwining. Basically, the afterlife is a bunch of different people's consciousness all coming, like, all layered on top of each other, I guess. And she mentions the ancestral plane from Black Panther, which, because that's the whole idea, is that like when they die, they go to the ancestral plane, and they kind of, they're like the panthers on that tree that we saw in the movie. So that was really cool that they mentioned that, because, along with questions of like, well, how are there Egyptian gods, but then also apparently, there's the Norse gods, and then there's going to be the Olympians in the next Thor movies. Like, how does this all work? Another one, of course, was like, Black Panther showed us an afterlife. Like, does everyone go here? It's like, okay, so we kind of sort of got an answer to how this works. Now why was Mark and Steven here going to the Egyptian afterlife? Is it because they just died in Egypt? Maybe location has something to do with it. I don't know. But in any case, that's where they were going. They're going to the Egyptian afterlife. Pretty interesting stuff. I still, obviously there's still many, many questions. But anyways, we got a lot of answers about Steven's past. And we do confirm that Mark Spector is the original person, and Steven Grant is the made-up personality that basically he went to whenever his mom would abuse him as a child, which that was definitely like the hardest part of this episode to watch. It was like, oof. So, We've seen this in different origin stories. If in fact, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Peacemaker, the Peacemaker show that just ended. But basically, when he was a kid, he had a brother, and the brother got killed in an accident, and you know, the parents blames them for everything the whole time, and that's where all the trauma comes from. You know, it was kind of interesting. I was like, oh yeah, that's almost like 1-to-1. I mean, not obviously 1-to-1 for Peacemaker, but you know, it's like a trope that we've seen before happen in these types of shows. But yeah, it was rough. And you know, basically Stephen Grant is the personality that Mark Spector would go to whenever he, you know, would have to go through something traumatizing. You know, he would be able to just escape to this other personality and not have to deal with it. Pretty interesting stuff. Now, there was a lot of Mark and Steven working together in this episode, and it was all really great. But at the end of the episode, in the middle of a fight, they're fighting off these like dead spirits that were thrown overboard of the ship. Stephen Grant gets pushed overboard, and he gets like turned to stone. But then it's like, oh, the scale is balanced, and Mark Spector's now like in the paradise, the field of reeds. So I don't know what you do now. You know, that now he's in paradise, but I guess he's gotta escape paradise. I guess try to save Steven if he can. I don't know how you get back to the sands, and then come back to life. You know, they gotta bring Khonshu back, because his, you know, she says, even if I could bring you back, you'd be coming back to a body that has a bullet hole in it. Basically just saying like the body's dead, you got to heal the body. You know, so like you can put the soul back in there, but it's still a dead body, so you're just gonna come right back here. So they got to be able to awaken Khonshu, that way they can heal the body, and that's going to be interesting. I'm sure the next episode's going to follow Layla trying to do that. The one thing I thought was interesting that they didn't actually cover at all, in the last episode we saw that there was another sarcophagus, which everyone is guessing like, okay, that has another personality in it, right? Because remember, there was a couple moments now where neither Mark nor Steven, you know, did the fighting or the killing or whatever, and so they didn't address that at all, which is interesting, right? Like, it feels like in this episode where they're going through his memories and they're going through his life and you get all these answers, you would think that this is the episode to address, like, oh yeah, what was that other sarcophagus? Who was in that? And they didn't do that at all, which, I don't know, that's interesting. Now, I'm assuming that in this last episode, we're gonna, you know, finally get that addressed and be like, oh yeah, there are other personalities, you know, and maybe we'll get their deal in another season or something. I don't know. But yeah, it kind of feels weird that like, oh, you're just not gonna go back to the other sarcophagus that was like trying to open itself. You're not gonna address that at all. Okay, kind of interesting. But yeah, anyways, I really enjoyed this episode. I like all the answers that we got, and I think it's just because like it's not just because we got answers, but it feels like the whole rest of the show felt like we're just playing catch up, you know, like it's just Steven being really confused about what's going on and Mark not giving any answers. And because that's been like the last like 5 episodes in a row, it has kind of felt like, okay, are we gonna do something? And now we finally have our answers. So I don't know. I do feel like maybe I can watch the show over again, and I'll like, now with all the given context, I don't know, maybe I'll feel a little bit differently, because I've been fine with the show, but it has not like grabbed me. And I think this episode's the first time where it's like, okay, I'm actually like getting it now. So I don't know, maybe they just, I feel like they waited too long to start like giving us some of these answers. But I don't know, I really enjoyed this one. Now, yeah, this last episode, they've got a lot of work to do, honestly, and they're not going to be able to answer everything, so maybe they won't even address the other personality, because like I said, they gotta save Steven, come back to life, stop Harrow, and I'm sure something's gonna happen, because remember, Khonshu wants Layla to be the new Avatar for some reason. I don't know why, but he does. And I'm sure that's gonna, they wouldn't like just put that out there at the beginning of the show and then not address that at the end. So I'm sure there's gonna be some thing that happens where, he's gonna have to make another deal with Khonshu, saying like, no, don't take her, take me, and I'll do whatever, because that's just kind of how Khonshu rolls, right? Like he uses you in your moment of desperation, that way you'll agree to anything. So yeah, interesting stuff, and we'll see how this all plays out. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this one, which is refreshing, because I feel like, I don't know, it feels like a lot of the show has kind of just been spinning its wheels. I don't know what the term is, but it hasn't really been building momentum or moving forward or gaining any kind of investment, really. But like this one, I actually really enjoyed, and I feel like this episode kind of inversely makes the other episodes a little bit better now. So I don't know, I like it. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Did you actually think that the asylum was like the real place? Be honest, were you one of those people? I mean, like I said, I thought the show kind of made it obvious, because I was like, what asylum looks like this? You know what I mean? I've never seen a TV show asylum depicted with all this Egyptian stuff everywhere. This doesn't seem real. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you think this final episode will play out, and let me know your theories about like the gods and how this all works. Is Gorr the God Butcher gonna show up? That's like one fan theory that I highly doubt is gonna be the case. But hey, wouldn't that be crazy if Gorr the God Butcher shows up and then takes out a bunch of these Egyptian gods? That would be pretty insane. Again, that's probably not gonna happen. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.